The past decade has blessed us with some of the most unforgettable games in history. From jaw-dropping visuals to storytelling that hits you right in the feels, these masterpieces have shaped the gaming world as we know it. Buckle up as we dive into the best games of the decade. First up, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, a game that completely reshaped how we think about open-world design. Nintendo's reinvention of the Zelda series threw players into a breathtakingly massive Hyrule, where exploration wasn't just encouraged, it was rewarded at every turn. There were no quest markers telling you where to go or what to do. Instead, the game handed you a paraglider and said, "Go explore." Every mountain you climbed, every forest you wandered, and every shrine you discovered felt like your own unique adventure. The physics system added a layer of creativity rarely seen in games. Players found ingenious ways to solve puzzles, like using magnesis to build bridges or launching themselves into the air with bombs. And who can forget those jaw-dropping moments of discovery, like stumbling upon a lintel for the first time or realizing you could set an entire field ablaze to create an updraft. Beyond the gameplay, the minimalist story was hauntingly beautiful, with quiet moments of reflection contrasting the chaos of battling divine beasts. From the majestic landscapes to the quirky Koroks, this was more than a game. It was a love letter to the spirit of adventure. Next up at number 9, we delve into the dark, gothic nightmare of Bloodborne. From Software's masterpiece transported players to the twisted, plague-ridden city of Yharnam, where danger lurked around every corner. The atmosphere was suffocating, with every shadow hiding a potential death and every alley echoing with spine-chilling whispers. The game's fast-paced combat pushed players to embrace aggression. Instead of relying on shields for defense, Bloodborne dared you to counterattack with precision. Trading your shield for a firearm added an entirely new dynamic. Parrying an enemy with a well-timed gunshot felt both exhilarating and terrifying. But Bloodborne wasn't just about its combat, it was about its lore. The cryptic storytelling invited players to piece together a world steeped in cosmic horror. What started as a simple hunt through a cursed city spiraled into something far more sinister, with great ones and eldritch beings pulling the strings. The Chalice dungeons added another layer of depth, offering procedurally generated challenges that tested even the most skilled hunters. Moving on to number 8, Resident Evil 2 Remake showed the world how to modernize a classic without losing its soul. Capcom's reimagining of this survival horror gem didn't just enhance the original, it brought it screaming into the 21st century. The game's over-the-shoulder perspective brought a level of immersion that made every zombie encounter heart-stoppingly intense. The Raccoon City Police Department was meticulously detailed, with flickering lights and eerie sound design amplifying the tension. Every time you heard the distant growl of a zombie, you couldn't help but wonder, do I fight or run? And then, there was Mr. X. The relentless tyrant transformed what was already a stressful experience into a full-blown panic attack. Hearing his heavy footsteps echo through the halls as he hunted you was nerve-wracking in the best way possible. Capcom's decision to include separate campaigns for Leon and Claire gave players two unique perspectives, adding incredible replay value. This remake didn't just honor the original. It surpassed it, solidifying itself as one of the best horror games ever made. Next at number 7, Elden Ring wasn't just a game, it was an experience. From Software took their signature Souls formula and expanded it into a sprawling open world that felt boundless, yet meticulously crafted. The lands between were a place of mystery, beauty, and danger, where every hilltop and ruin invited exploration. From crumbling castles to eerie forests, no two areas felt the same. And yet, the game never held your hand. You were free to forge your own path, whether that meant discovering hidden caves, battling colossal dragons, or piecing together the lore of this hauntingly beautiful world. Combat was as challenging as ever, but the addition of mounted battles and spirit summons gave players new tools to conquer the odds. And let's not forget the bosses. Each one felt like a test of your skills and patience, from the brutal Radon Festival to the mesmerizing dance with Malenia. The world building, enriched by George R.R. Martin's influence, wove a tapestry of myth and tragedy that kept players theorizing long after the credits rolled. Elden Ring didn't just live up to the hype, it redefined what open-world gaming could be. Next, at number 6, Ghost of Tsushima transported players to feudal Japan during the Mongol invasion, delivering an experience that was as beautiful as it was brutal. Sucker Punch crafted a world that felt alive, where every golden field and bamboo grove seemed to tell its own story. The combat was a love letter to samurai cinema, blending precise swordplay with seamless stealth mechanics. Switching stances to counter different enemies felt strategic and rewarding, while the duels were cinematic masterpieces in their own right. But it wasn't just about combat. The game encouraged players to lose themselves in the world. Whether you were following a fox to a shrine, composing haikus by tranquil lakes, or simply taking in the view from a mountaintop, Every moment felt immersive. And the story? Jin Sakai's journey from honorable samurai to the legendary ghost was emotionally resonant and packed with unforgettable moments. Ghost of Tsushima wasn't just a game. It was a work of art. Next, at number 5, Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice challenged players in ways that few games dared. From Software traded the slow, methodical combat of their Souls games for a fast, razor-sharp experience that demanded precision, patience, and perseverance. Set in a beautifully brutal version of Sengoku-era Japan, Sekiro followed the journey of Wolf, a shinobi bound by loyalty and driven by vengeance. The story was a departure from Software's usual cryptic storytelling, offering a more focused narrative full of betrayal, mysticism, and redemption. Combat was the heart of Sekiro, and it was an art form. The posture system turned every duel into a dance of blades, where each parry, dodge, and strike mattered. Victory didn't come from grinding stats. It came from mastering the game's mechanics. Every encounter felt like a test of skill, from the relentless Genichiro to the towering sword Saint Ishin. The game rewarded exploration, too. Hidden paths led to rare upgrades, new skills, and encounters with fearsome mini-bosses. And let's not forget the grappling hook. Soaring through the treetops and ambushing enemies added a new dimension to traversal. Moving on to number 4, God of War, 2018, wasn't just a reboot of the iconic franchise, it was a complete reimagining. Santa Monica Studio took Kratos, the rage-filled demigod, and gave him a second chance, not just at life, but at fatherhood. Set in the Norse realms, the game introduced us to a Kratos we'd never seen before, older, wiser, and burdened by his past. His relationship with Atreus, his young son, formed the emotional core of the game. Watching their bond evolve from strained to unbreakable was as gripping as any battle against a god or monster. Speaking of battles, God of War revolutionized its combat system. The Leviathan axe wasn't just a weapon, it was an extension of Kratos. Throwing it into an enemy and calling it back with a satisfying whomp never got old. The game balanced brutal, visceral combat with moments of strategic depth, whether you were unlocking new skills or juggling Atreus' bow abilities. The world itself was breathtaking, with every realm offering unique landscapes, from the fiery depths of Muspelheim to the icy peaks of Jotunheim. Next up at number 3, we have Marvel's Spiderman. Insomniac Games delivered the ultimate superhero fantasy, capturing what it truly means to be Spider-Man. From the moment you swung through the streets of Manhattan, you knew you were in for something special. The web swinging was nothing short of perfection. Each swing felt fluid and exhilarating, and the dynamic animations made you feel like you were choreographing your own Spidey movie. But it wasn't just about traversal. The combat system took cues from the Arkham series while adding Spidey's acrobatics and gadgets, creating fast-paced, stylish encounters. The story struck a perfect balance between Peter Parker and Spider-Man, exploring the challenges of being a hero while trying to keep your personal life together. The emotional weight of the game's climax, with Peter's sacrifices and Dr. Octavius's tragic descent, left players in tears. And then there were the villains. From the menacing Mr. Negative to the classic Sinister Six, each encounter was memorable and packed with surprises. Add in a sprawling open world filled with collectibles, side quests, and heartfelt moments, and Spider-Man swung straight into the hearts of gamers everywhere. Coming in at number 2, The Witcher 3. Wild Hunt wasn't just a game, it was a phenomenon. CD Projekt Red's sprawling RPG set a new gold standard for storytelling and world building, giving players a richly detailed fantasy world to lose themselves in. You played as Geralt of Rivia, a grizzled monster hunter navigating a world torn apart by war and political intrigue. The game's main story, which followed Geralt's quest to find his adopted daughter Ciri, was deeply emotional and packed with twists. But the real magic lay in the side quests. Whether you were solving a murder mystery in a cursed village or helping a ghost find peace, every quest felt meaningful and memorable. The game's world was breathtaking, from the stormy shores of Skellige to the bustling streets of Novigrad. Every corner of the map was brimming with life, danger, and stories waiting to be discovered. With its incredible depth, unforgettable characters, and jaw-dropping scope, The Witcher 3 earned its place as one of the greatest RPGs of all time. And finally, at number 1, Red Dead Redemption 2 rode into the sunset as one of the most ambitious and emotionally powerful games of the decade. Rockstar Games delivered a prequel that expanded on the world of the original while telling a deeply personal story about loyalty, morality, and the price of survival. You played as Arthur Morgan, an outlaw caught between his loyalty to the Van der Linde gang and his growing realization that the Wild West was dying. Arthur's journey was unforgettable, filled with moments of heartbreak, redemption, and humanity. His struggle with his own mortality added a layer of poignancy rarely seen in games. The open world was nothing short of a technical marvel. From snowy mountains to sprawling plains, every inch of the map was meticulously crafted. The attention to detail was staggering, with NPCs living their lives independent of the player. Hunting, fishing, and even caring for your horse weren't just mechanics, they were ways to immerse yourself in the world. And then there were the little things. The way Arthur's beard grew over time, the realistic weather effects, and the sheer variety of activities. Rockstar didn't just create a game, they created a world you could live in. With its rich storytelling, breathtaking visuals, and unforgettable characters, Red Dead Redemption 2 was more than a masterpiece. It was a landmark in gaming history. And there you have it, the games that defined a decade of greatness. Each one a masterpiece in its own right. Which one's your favorite? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming content.